Okay, I've had a sandwich and I've gotten myself unmad. So now this is the video that I wanted to just put out in the world. Today is, which y'all know, this is November 15th, and it's my first grandson's birthday. 24 years ago, he came into my world. And this picture is of his mother, my daughter. Anyway, I want to tell you about him and how he came to be because it's really special, and I hope I never forget this. And I'm not sure if I've ever shared it with y'all or not. I may have, and if I have, I'm sorry. Um, but when she was 16 years old, she had a lot of problems, and she had to have surgery, and they told her that she would probably never have children, and they were pretty adamant about, it would be very difficult for her to have a baby, which is something she had always dreamed of doing, is having a family. But it was hard on her at first, and um, I was just so devastated for her. But the boy that she was dating then, who became her husband, um, we we talked to him, and we told him everything that was going on, because if he couldn't accept the future, then he needed to go. But he stuck around, and well, anyway, years later, a lot of years later, she was in her 20s. She called me late one night. She was crying. I thought something was wrong, and she called to tell me that she had done a pregnancy test and she was pregnant, and she was just so happy. Well, months went by, and I went with her to pretty much every single appointment. And the appointment where they did a sonogram, they told her she was having a girl. They it was a little girl, and we're both just kind of standing there looking at each other, because it just didn't feel right. Well, years before that, this was after a couple of years after the surgery, and years before he was ever born, she had had a dream one night, and the next day she told me about it, and she said, "Mom, I'm okay." She said, "I had a dream that I had a little boy, and in my dream he was around 4 years old, and he had dark hair, and he had these most sparkling blue eyes." And she said, in my dream, he was outside playing, and I called him to come in, and I called him Zachariah. She said, in my dream, I said, "Zachariah, it's time to come in." She said, "So I know that I'm going to have a son one day. I don't know how I'm going to get him. He may be adopted. I don't know where he's coming from, but he will be mine." And that was, like I said, years before. And then here she's having a baby, and they said it's a little girl. And she had a little girl name picked out, and we had just the most beautiful things I could find for her when she got here. But then the day he was born, November 15th, we were all in there, and she had complications and had to go have an emergency cesarean. And we're standing out in the hallway. And of course, she's my girl, so I was terrified of something. I didn't, it was just scary. But we was standing there, and my son-in-law came out of the operating room, and he had his mask on, and it was wet from tears. And as he got closer to me, I just was so scared that something was wrong with her. And when he got right up to me, and we're holding little girl balloons and got the baby book and everything, so because she wanted to put feet print in it, and he just looked at me and he said, "We have a son. Zachariah is here." Well, Zachariah was here, and what a joy he has been all of his life. If y'all remember, he moved to Montana over 2 years ago now. And he's doing great. And I just hope that if he ever forgets what he's made of, he can find this and be reminded that he is made from faith, hope, and love. Her faith that he was coming. Her hopes of him. Her prayers for him came to be. It taught me, more about faith. And it was, I still have to go back to it quite often and be reminded of what faith looks like sometimes. And I wanted to show you some little pictures, but that's his mama. And, I'm just not real good at holding anything, but let's see. Let me get this one. This one that's him and I. That's when he came home. And these are just little pictures, and that's just, that picture. This one I got to mail to him. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to do that. That's my mom and him. Everybody came. Like I said, when things going on, we're gonna come together. But she came up here to be introduced to him. But I wanted to show you what truly just I cherish more than you can imagine. And that is, let me see if I can set these in here. I got right there, maybe. Let's see. Okay. That's Zachariah, around 3-4 years old. And he's got dark hair and a smile that just says it all. And he's got sparkling blue eyes. This was him when he's a little younger. But when he was right there is when I realized that her faith had manifested into that little boy. And even though, when he was baptized, he asked me to speak for him. And that is what we talked about. I wanted him to remember who he is, what he is made from, and if he ever had doubts about faith and the God he served, or the love that just to look in the mirror and know that through his mother's faith, he exists. And he should never doubt, ever, how much love it took. But he's 24 today, and I know I can't help it, y'all. This don't matter how long it's been. It's just really hard. But there he is. That was her dream. That was her son. And there was no better mother. There was no better person to be his mother. And I know he misses her, and so do I. But we have faith and hopes and love in him. So, anyway, I just wanted to wish him a happy birthday in Montana. And recently, he called and he told my husband, he said, Papa, I just got to tell you, everything that you taught me that I thought was so silly, I'm having to do now. And he said, I'm so grateful for the drywall lessons and the car repair. And he said, because when you're on your own, it's a good thing to know. And, when he left home that day, I told him, don't forget where you come from. That way you'll always know how to come back home. And then I also reassured him that there's no mountain high enough. to keep me from getting him if he needs me. I still mean it. And I'll still do I'll still move a mountain. And I just wanted to share him with you because I don't know why. I don't know, there was a part of me that held back, and then I don't like, to be, like, I know there's too much ugly in this world, but I just thought it was important it's important for me, I know that. So I gotta have that out there. And I'm gonna close it and tell you all good night and how much I appreciate each one of you. And if you ever come across my Zachariah, tell him Grandma loves him. And keep that smile. Keep going on. He's doing so good. I'm so proud of him. He can't possibly know how much. So I'm going to tell you all good night. And the only other thing I want to say is, today was the day he was born. It's also the anniversary of the day I lost my mother. She passed away on November 15th, 2015 at 6:21 a.m. And so strange how, so bittersweet, and it's like, why can one day have so many beautiful things in it and have so many sad things in it and all be the same? But I'll tell you, him being a boy, that was the talk of the hospital. It was so fun. And let me just say this because it's kind of cute. Years later, when my youngest daughter had her first child, different hospital, different doctor, but she too was told she was going to have a little girl. And when he was born, there was everybody was so excited in there. My husband and the rest of the family were waiting in the waiting room out there. And anyway, when he come, one of Sarah's friends was in there with her too, and she looked down, and I had said, "Oh, she's so beautiful," and Sarah's friend said, "She is not a she. She is a he." It was just a moment. Let me tell you. When I walked out in the waiting room to tell my husband, I looked at him and I said, "Well, we got to take back the girl things again." He was like, "You're joking, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. We have a new grandson." So it was twice that happened to us. And both times was such a joy. Either way it went, it was going to be a joy. But anyway, thank you for letting me share this. Zachariah, I love you. I don't know what else to say, except I love you. Happy birthday. And Mom, I hope from the first day you entered heaven to today that you're still smiling at us. I love you too.